So what is my role? So I'm a senior producer for creative learning at Wales Millennium Centre, which pretty much means that I do lots of the outreach work and the education work within the arts, the charity side of Wales Millennium Centre. So all of the work that we do with young people, with schools, work very closely with the community team as well. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's my role: outreach, education, those kinds of projects. Can I describe a typical day? There is really no typical day in the work that I do. Every day can be very different. I mean, you have a lot of kind of project management, so kind of setting up projects, booking facilitators, freelancers, forming partnerships with schools, other youth community groups, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of that kind of desk-based work, but on any given day, you could find yourself in any situation. You know, you could be at a workshop, you could be delivering, you could be checking up on a workshop, you could be taking a group of young people to see something. You know, there's so many different aspects of what I do that I couldn't say any day is really typical. I would say that I approached it from an arts perspective, having not really project managed prior to that. So for me, the unexpected side of it was all of the kind of project management skills that I had to learn really quickly. You know, you're kind of organising, you're funding, budgeting, all of those kinds of things which I hadn't really done before, but you kind of, you've done aspects of it when because I used to freelance and so on. So you did aspects, you had to do your own budgeting, but on the scale that I did when I got into doing this line of work, it was quite new. So yeah, I had to quickly learn some of those things, but supported every step of the way as well by the organisations I've worked with. For me, I mean, coming from an arts background, coming fresh off being signed and touring and so on, and then coming back to Cardiff, I just felt that I wanted to get involved and kind of give back a little of what I'd had from my experience. And basically it was a friend of mine. He was doing some work with an organisation called CADMAD, Cardiff and District Multicultural Arts Development, and they were based down in Tiger Bay as well, and they were doing workshops in different arts forms, and they asked me to do some around hip hop and lyric writing, and so I did a couple of those, and I really got into it, really enjoyed that kind of giving back and that working with young people, and it just snowballed from there. That was basically the defining moment where I knew that this was something I was really interested in, more so than performing myself. So from that I just then brought in my old experience of working in theatre, started working in the Sherman, and it just snowballed from there. Ended up in Wales Millennium Centre. I was definitely inspired by one of my line managers when I worked in the Sherman, a lady called Jess Nash, who really believed in what I could offer and what I could bring to the table, and she gave me a lot of my early opportunities to do this kind of work, and just watching her work really inspired me, so I consider her to be one of my mentors. And likewise today, I have a mentor named Jen Hartley who works for Theatre Versus Oppression. I do a lot of work, a lot of volunteering with those guys, and just watching her work and her knowledge and experience in what she does, I take a lot of that and put that into my practice and into my work as well. I kind of touched on it a little bit already. It kind of came just from getting involved in the work with CADMAD. So, I didn't really know about this career early on. I kind of fell into it in a sense. So because I was an artist, because I was touring, because I was out there doing my thing, people wanted me to give a little back, so they asked me to get involved in some of these teaching programs, and it was through that I learned that this career existed. So I didn't take an academic route, I basically took a very arts route into it. I came in as an artist, and I ended up becoming a tutor and a teacher as a result. just go for it. Don't let your background or past experiences stop you. If you have an interest in this line of work, you know, and you've got a passion for it, you can get involved. A lot of the work that we do with young people, you know, we're experiencing, you know, people are experiencing this kind of work for the first time. You know, they don't come from a family or from a background where they've necessarily been immersed in the arts growing up, but they have an interest, so they come along, they get involved, and some of those young people have gone on to get some jobs and some work with us. So I would just say, you know, if it's your interest, if it's your passion, just get involved as much as you can, because in this line of work, for me, I found it's all been about connections. It's all been about who you work with, who you know, who you vibe with, and you know, just get involved, get out there, meet people from lots of different organizations, volunteer, you know, take those placements, do whatever it is you've got to do to get your foot in the door, and show people what you can do, show people your passion. That's what I would say.